And I was in this Acela Express, which is really a nice experience. I think it takes 3 hours or so, something like that, from Providence, Rhode Island to New York. It's easy. That day it wasn't that easy. We stopped a bit on the road, and I thought, well, what's that? It was hot outside. It was again hot outside. It was, I think, 100 Fahrenheit, something like that. And it was April. It was unusual. I had this black jacket, and I had my trolley, and I had a bag, and I had a package that I wanted to deliver, that I wanted to send from the US to Germany, but the hotel wasn't able to do that, yada, yada. Long story short, it was warm. And I sat in this train, and then we stopped at Stamford, with an M, Stamford. I said, what's that? Stamford. And then there was this announcement. I didn't get it. I asked the train attendant, I said, well, what's on now? And he said, well, we're missing electricity on the way to New York. There is a line broken, whatever it was, and we have an issue here. It needs to be repaired. And we stand here now at Stamford so that you can get out, and we call you when you can get in again. You can walk or whatever you do. I said, well, that's a good thing, because in Germany, this train would stand somewhere in the desert, in the middle of nowhere, and someone would tell you, this is not Stamford station, right? So we stood at this station, and we could get out, and I asked the guy, well, how long will it take? He said, well, maybe 45 minutes. I said, okay, 45 minutes, or 60. I said 60, or it could be max 2 hours. I said, okay, I need to get out. I take a taxi. The people around me, whom I talked to during the travel, I didn't know, but in the US it's always easy to get into a conversation. They said, taxi? I said, yes, of course I need to get my flight. So I got out with my luggage, with my jacket. It was hot. And I saw 2 taxis. I said, well, that's great. Got down, black taxi. I said to the guy, I want to go to New York. Do you have a flat rate? He said, yes. I said, oh, well, how crazy am I? I said, okay. Got in this car. I said, I need to go to Times Square because I need to get my luggage to the Marriott and all these kind of things to get back later on. And so, do you know I know Times Square, sir. I said, okay. Got into this cab. It was I will say, it was built in the 1700s, 17th century, something like that, 18th century. It was an old Ford without air conditioning. Talking about that, it's always about hot air conditioning. So I was in this car, and this guy was a taxi driver. A taxi driver should know the way, and he should know how to drive. Well, this was 100% defect. He didn't know how to drive. He drove that way. You know that? And he didn't know the way. He got off the highway, and he was in suburbs I would prefer never to see again. And he asked for the way. I said, what are you doing? Yeah, I'm asking for the way to New York. I said, well, stay on, get on to New York. I need to get my flight. He said, I asked for the way. He got some instructions that were really bad. And then I saw at the windshield, he had not only 1 GPS system, he had 2. I said, why aren't you using them? And then he took one of the GPS systems and handed it to me because he wasn't able to use them. Both. We got our way to New York. I said to him, you know what, to the left, to the right, and I had no idea, but it was okay. And I said, well, get out here. And I don't know where the Marriott is now, 54th or something like that. And he got from this highway to the 51st, and we drove the 51st down to Manhattan. I said, what are you doing? I want to go to the 54th. He said, well, we're meeting the 54th. Has anybody here been in Manhattan? Yeah. Do you know the road map, the city map of Manhattan? Yeah. Have you been looking at this map, and have you been compared it with your experiences from arithmetics? Parallels don't meet ever. Ever. I said, I need to get out. Just drop me here. But it's not the 54th. I said, you will not reach 54th. You will be never at 54th. Never, ever. You can drive all day. Just drop me here. I got out. I paid him, gave him my Amex. He charged me the $150. I said, okay. And I got my flight, and I got shopping. Everything was fine. The lesson I learned here was And people are always asking me, where do you have your stories from? I get it out. I just get out of a house and there is a story. The lesson I learned here was, even if you have the best instruments, even if you have a couple of instruments, it doesn't make you doing a better job if you can't use them. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Inventory lists. Talking about fast-moving articles and slow-moving articles. Talking about whatever instruments you have. Sales, forecast, strategy, controlling systems. Growth, maximization, controlling panels. Whatever it is. If you can't use them, they're worthless. They're not worth the money you invested to create them. If you're responsible for a result, you need to know how to use your instruments. You wouldn't enter a car without knowing what the dashboard is saying. You don't want to enter an aircraft with all these kind of bells and whistles there, because you're not able to fly it.